Families need hope. It's hard enough raising children. It's hard enough raising, it doesn't matter what color, because addiction hurts. It costs money. Parents see their kids, they're stealing, they're coming to school, they don't bathe for 3 weeks, and you're like, oh my God, they've got everything all, and these are not just teenage problems. These are problems where you worry about your child dying inside. You don't know where to turn, and there may be shame, because you, as a parent, should be able to handle this.
In grade school, I was a B student. My grades were good. I used to hit, honor roll, student of the month. I used to be a good student. But as soon as I hit my freshman year, that's when I started skipping, cutting class, and, hanging with the bad crew and all that. And that's when the substance started to kick in.
It's like I was in a dream. I couldn't believe she was, you always think the best or try to want the best for your child, and when you see them going the wrong road, it's like you're in a dream. It's like you can't, when am I gonna wake up? This can't be true.
I watched a lot of what they did, and, partying, drinking, smoking, and, that was around me, so I just joined in,
If I talked to her about drugs, or if I asked her, are you using it? Are you experimenting with it with your friends? She's gonna just, clam up, and she won't let me help her. When you've tried every avenue, every thing that you could possibly try, and then you just keep getting a dead end, it's discouraging. You can't, you get discouraged after a while, and you feel like you're winning a losing battle. And that's how I was at that point where I felt, the battle is over. I lost.
Barely made it through 9th grade, although he was able to do it. His teachers from middle school said, oh, he's great, he can do this, push him, he just has to apply himself. And, 10th grade he might as well have not been here. And 11th grade was worse.
And so then I started smoking, and then when I started smoking, it was cheaper, so I just started doing it every day. And I used to never come to school, and then I used to be cooped up in my room. I used to only hang out with people that smoked.
And I was at my wit's end. I really was. We've done the pleading, the crying, I've done the yelling, the screaming. I put him on lockdown, anything. There was a point where I thought Wayne would never leave the house because he was on punishment so much. And nothing was getting through. And I'm steadily getting telephone calls from the school. He's not going to class, he's not doing this, he's suspended. And this is from a kid who's doesn't do anything. He's flying under the radar screen. And, how much love can you give? Love was not enough. So when Mrs. Cole said, you need to talk to Mr. Cargenis, I had taken off from work, and I'm like, where is he? Is he available? We will go today. And I was at the point where I was strong-arming Wayne. I said, look, you do it my way or forget it. I've let you do it your way. We've tried everything, and it's not working. If you're going to get out of high school, what you need to do, you need to get a good job. It's my way or the highway. And so I basically strong-armed him, even though he's bigger than I am, and we went upstairs and met with Mr. Cargenis. We get up there, and he's like, Ma, I don't even know this man. I'm not going to talk to him. And Mr. Cargenis is telling me about a group, because Wayne did admit to using, smoking marijuana. And, he's like, okay. But he didn't admit that much. And Mr. Cargenis says, well, we have a group, of kids. They meet in school during the school day, and, you should come and talk. And so I'm like, you got to do it. You have a choice. You got to do it. And then he also referred us to a couple other, he said, well, check and see if he's depressed. And he also referred us to child guidance. So I'm like, okay, whatever you recommend, we're willing to do it. And, I wouldn't let Wayne off the hook. I'm like, I don't care. I'm the taxi. Get in. We're going.
In terms of dropout, violence, teenage pregnancies, truancy, that's definitely the number one issue. It's across the board. Rarely have I interviewed a student who's having those types of problems who were not also using.
Steve and I, about 3 or 4 years ago, sat down and said, we're getting more kids coming to us. We're seeing more kids. And we decided that we would join up in forces and co-facilitate a group together. So we came together, we brought a few kids that he was working with individually, that I was working with individually, and we started this group. We had no idea where it was going to go, but I said to him, prepare yourself, because this thing's going to take off.
I got introduced by my friend because she thought that I had problems with substance, and ever since that, I've been going. Mr. Carjanis, he's been tracking me down and bringing me to group and stuff. You know, he see me in the hallway, he tell me how much he really wanted me in the group, and you know, he'll be looking for me, and that's how basically I got involved with the group.
Thank you, Shaylin. So congratulations, 4 months clean. Keep it
They
up.
worked with her and they tried to get her into group sessions, in which I started to see a change when that came about.
Well, just hearing other people's stories and being able to relate with, you know, people around my age, you know, they went through the same thing, and, you know, we talked about how it affects you in all types of ways, relationships with your family and health-wise, and I kind of, you know, stuck to that, and I kept it in my head that it's not good, I should change, and they just helped me change.
It really took a dark cloud from over my family. Everybody's getting along, and it's no more screaming matches in the house. Everybody's kind of, you know, calming down, and everything's kind of mellowing out, and we're kind of back to normal.
It's an amazing experience. I mean, it's really to see these kids be able to resist using substances and to make a commitment to stay clean at this age, and with all the peer pressure and the cultural pressure on. I mean, we have people like Shaylin, who was just ready to drop out when we started. We found out about her. I mean, she was just really disenchanted with school, with herself, with everything, family, and she just pulled herself up. She started coming to group, started going to class, started doing homework. She had another friend who went down the tubes, and she just kind of said, you know, I'm not going with you, and came around. And Wayne, who just, you know, it's just amazing to see it. I mean, one day he just came in the group and started talking, and, you know, it was tough to get him there. And for the first several groups, you know, he just kind of was sitting there, and you're not really sure what's sinking in, what's not sinking in. But, you know, all of a sudden he just came out and said, you know, I need to stay clean. I need to do something with my life. And just totally turned it around.
One day, Mr. Carjanis calls me and he says, I think we've had a breakthrough with Wayne. And I'm like, what? And I was like so shocked. I'm like, he said, yeah, he was telling me that he he wants to turn his life around. He wants to get his, life together, and he understands that, the drugs are a problem with it. I'm like, thinking to myself, is this my son?
Okay, Wayne, so you've been clean for 6 months. You were a daily user before. What's the 6 months been like?
I'm more responsible.
So you're more responsible.
Yeah, like
Tell us what that means.
I used to
Give us some examples.
like if I ain't do nothing, I used to blame it on everybody else, like except for me. So now like I take more responsibility for myself and like my actions, what I do, instead of trying to make excuses for myself. It made me see like the bigger picture about how like it affected me, my family. Like nothing just affected me, like affected people around me too.
I felt hopeful because I thought I'd lost this kid. And, I've been trying to do everything, not be a perfect parent, because I know I'm not perfect, but hey, that's another story. But just to be a good parent, to provide a good, safe home for him, to kind of encourage him, to help him find direction, and to instill in him the values that he needs to succeed in life.
A lot of the work has to do with coaching parents, and that's what I've tried to do over the past few years, is try to provide support to parents to support their kids. Denial's a big issue in this, not only with the students, but with the parents.
That's the other half of their life. I mean, they're in school half the day and they're home 2/3 of the day. And so if we don't involve the family, it really empowers the student. I mean, earlier we had, I think, Shaylin and Mom talked, and Wayne and Mom. And really key for both of their success, I think, was reaching the parents. because along with them coming into the group, there was constant contact with the families, talking about how their students are doing, what's going on. Unfortunately, by the time we get them, a lot of them have had a lot of negative feedback from school, a lot of negative situations in school, grades, Fs, cutting, truancy. So what we try to do is once the kids come in the group, we try to start calling home, making contact with home in a positive way, and shed some positive light and change the image that the family has of the student, because that they're going to encourage the student. So if I call home and talk to Shaylin's mom and say, geez, you know, Shaylin did really well today. She went to all of her classes. We're really proud of her. You know, a lot of times it's like the parent at the other end of the phone doesn't know what to say. They're used to somebody calling home and saying, oh, your kid cut all their classes. They're no good. They don't do any work. You know, I don't know what they're doing here. So, especially initially when I started to work with the parents, it's funny because their first reaction is always, oh, I thought you were calling because my kid was doing something wrong. And so to get rid of that negativism is really important. So working with the parents and the family and getting them involved, also to get involved with, you know, how the kid's doing in school, come to school, meet with the teachers. I mean, many times we'll meet with the student, the parent, and the teacher to empower the family, to, you know, advocate for the student. And that really builds the relationship. You know, they need that support at home. And once they've been using drugs, usually the trust is dissipated and it's caused a lot of turmoil in the house. We want to build that back up, the family relationship, and get the parents back involved and back into the school with us and working with us with the students.
If you have a program like this leadership group, if you have social workers who focus on this, I mean, it's not popular, but it's reality. Drugs are not popular. They're not going away. Alcoholism is not going away, and kids are going younger and younger. So really, it's needed. Funding is needed. Whatever whatever can be done to replicate this, to give the kids more things to do, more activities, I strongly advocate. I urge whoever has the money, policymakers, whatever, and I've talked in support of different causes, and I'm willing to do that as well for this one. I have a personal interest in this one. This is helping me to save my son's life, and so I appreciate it.
It takes a man to take your hand and build a